know that there has had to have been some sacrifice, whether it's time or nutrition or whatever it is.
Recording of myself talking about having a relationship with my chest.
I'm Ben Canning.
I'm Dave Kennedy.
And this is Hacking Health Podcast. Yo, what is up, everybody? We are back. It's the Ben and Dave show, and we have absolutely no idea what episode this is, but we're just happy both to be here. Welcome back, dude.
Dude, we're back. This is it. We've taken a little bit of hiatus, but we had to get a lot of things in order. Since then we've launched our supplement brands. You moved into a whole new, amazing professional looking gym.
I just don't know why you haven't been here yet. I've had it for about 2 weeks now and you haven't been, but whatever. We'll talk about that at a different time. Anyway,
I'm going to Atlanta today and then I'm flying back tomorrow. And then I have to go to South Dakota on Thursday. Maybe I can mix it in between there where I just fly
on the way, just get a lift in.
Hey. And then hang out just for 15 minutes and then fly back and see how it goes.
Just do one set of bicep curls and then leave.
That's right. I'll do the heaviest, so I have the record there. That's I got a PR in each of the areas, right?
That's fair. Right. So we are coming back. We're going to have a little bit more of a structured podcast. We're going to keep it a little bit more concise and try not to derail. So let's see how long that we can keep that going for. But I think we're both in agreement that we want to just sort of catch everybody up because it's been maybe 2 or 3 months since we've actually recorded a podcast like this.
Yeah, it has been. I think the last one we did was in Vegas when we were talking about the release of the Hacking Your Health supplement brands. And it's been a lot of stuff happening to there. Since then, we're working on a sour green apple flavor for our pre-workout. We are coming out with a organic protein coming out here soon. Or organic natural flavoring for everything. And tastes delicious, by the way. And we'll have some more exciting news about the launch of that and
plus kind of other secret stuff. More secret stuff. We're not even 5 minutes in. We're already getting to secret stuff.
That's right. It's so funny. So the supplements had become like a staple at airsoft. I feel like I'm a drug dealer because everybody in at airsoft is like, hey, you got any more of the samples? And a lot of them just order it. So when I go in, you just see these water bottles filled with my pre-workout, and everybody at airsoft is all gearing up on caffeine and beta alanine, and they're just sprinting and shooting each other. It's caused chaos at airsoft lately.
Good. The use case we didn't know that we needed.
That's right. Well, it's funny. One of the ladies there, April, she's actually gonna make a promo video of people taking pre-workout and doing airsoft with it too. So now we can rep some airsoft branches or teams as well as we're going through and doing this.
But what an adventure! So to catch everybody up, we launched soft launch in Vegas. Then we went live maybe 10 days ish after that. Obviously, incredible response. Initially, good to see everybody's feedback on socials. Video reviews, tweets, messages from me. I was at Matt's event, not the weekend, just past the weekend before, and give out maybe nearly 200 samples there as well. So lots of positive feedback from that. So it's been cool to actually, the thing that we've been working on for so long, to actually share it and get the feedback. And I haven't actually shared this image yet, but I'll tell a story. I was looking through camera roll a couple of months, maybe about a month ago, and I found one of the original. But whenever we started speaking about this, you weren't fully all in. It was you like the idea, but don't really like the idea. Maybe not, don't really know. And I was I'll get one of the designers design up an initial tub to just sort of bait you a little bit more. And that was the 26th of October, 2022. So we're almost bang on 2 years. And we'd already been speaking about it for about 6 months since then. So for anybody who doesn't believe us, that we've been working on this for 2 years. We genuinely have been working on that for about 2 years. So cool to sort of see that come to life and cool to be able to share it with everybody. And obviously, like I said, the feedback, and obviously cool to actually be able to use it. I trained earlier and it still hits as good as it does every single time.
Yeah, it's amazing. We've had some amazing feedback, both just, from the pre-workout, but also the protein. For me, the pre-workout's awesome. I just used it this morning and I PR'd. I was able to do the rowing 500 meter row for 1 minute, 13 seconds. My previous PR was 1 minute, 15 seconds. And that was in 2021. So I haven't PR'd since 2021.
Nice.
In that, which is a great accomplishment, right? So that's almost 4 years ago, 3 years ago. But the pre-workout hits spot on. With the new version with the sour apple, we're in any new versions. Once we diminish our current inventory, our next version 1.1, we're bumping up alpha GPC to 200 for one scoop, 400 for other. There's some more research that has come out in the higher dosages really helps as a neuroprotector, as well as clarity, focus, and energy. So we're going to bump up alpha GPC a little bit. I tested it out with 200 and 400, and can definitely feel an additional, kick to it. So newer versions always improving. So version 1.1 will have a little more alpha GPC in it. But I'll tell you, the currently as it stands today, it's an amazing pre-workout. It's honestly, it's funny. I was total random person. One of my buddies was coming over, and I had a spare Apple Watch, and I was giving it to him just because he didn't have one, and I just don't use it. And he brought a buddy over, and we just happened to start talking about pre-workouts. And he's like, "Oh, my favorite is Alpha Lion." And I was like, "That's so funny you say that. My favorite was Alpha Lion as well. Like, I couldn't go to any other pre-workout." And then I tried ours, and I'm like, "This is way better in every part: the pump, the energy, the focus, the non-crashes." We did the heavier dosages of delayed and extended caffeine releases. So it's just a great mixture of everything with GABA and everything else. My sleep is amazing. I'm getting like 98% sleep scores. I mean, it's like
PR and sleep every night.
We're the only pre-workout that actually helps you with your sleep. It's like that's a cool statement to say, which obviously helps for recovery and everything else out there. GABA also, the main reason why we put GABA in there is that if you take GABA as a pre-workout, it increases your natural human growth hormone factor by 5x. So like you're increasing recovery, you're increasing your ability to build muscle mass, you're increasing your ability to output energy. So there's just so many benefits like, that we incorporated into this, and all, science-based research on everything. We put it on our website, and 2 years in the making. But the chocolate protein and the vanilla protein are so amazing, like to the point to where like my mom came over yesterday, and she's like, "Listen, I know you're my son, but like you guys nailed it on this protein." She's like, "I've never had any other protein like this before. It's like it mixes so well with either water or milk, whatever you want, and it's not grainy. You don't get the thick feeling from it. It's real. It mixes extremely well with water. It's water neutral, so it mixes extremely well with this. So you don't get the clumps in it, and then the flavor is not like overly sweet. Like when I first started drinking protein shakes, I'd always try to find like the chocolate frappuccino sundae. That was like the sweetest thing ever, and I get sick of it in like a week because it's just so overly popped with like fake sugars and things like that. That make it super overly populated. And our dosage of sucralose were really, really low, and it's not overly sweet. It's really a nice mellow chocolate flavor that is easy to digest, and it doesn't give you like that bloating feeling. And we went with the extremely, like, we could have just did whey isolate, which is fine. Like the whey isolate's okay. We did the whey isolate hydrolyzed, which is more expensive. It's a higher quality protein, and it allows your body to digest the branched chain amino acids that are needed for muscle growth. Obviously all the essential amino acids as well, but it allows you to get that into your body extremely quickly. So your body can absorb it and digest it extremely fast. So you're getting that protein synthesis as fast as you possibly can. So there's a lot of science behind just the protein itself. And it's like the best protein you can buy in the market, the highest quality protein you can buy in the market. And, and then with our organic, like dosed properly as far as like actually getting nutrients as part of it, it's not this, so I'm not a big fan of a big one that starts with an O, because they're actually using a proprietary flavoring for it, which seems to not be organic in nature. So they can get around like the organic label by doing a proprietary sweetener in it, which is probably mixed with sucralose and everything else in there, which sucralose is fine at low dosages, but you're probably not an ass ton of it in, like the Fairlife stuff. It has a ton of sucralose in it. It's
delicious. Though the Fairlife is delicious. We can't start shit on Fairlife.
I had to do a strawberry muscle milk yesterday because
I saw that. I was like, thoughts and prayers. Thank you.
So bad. I was literally, Gavin's like dropping threes, and I'm sitting there dry heaving on the side as I'm trying to chug this 40-gram protein strawberry. It was horrible, but nailed it on the supplements. I'm very happy with where it turned out.
Same. And even the obviously my big thing with the chocolate is number one, the flavor, but number two,
you were a stickler on the chocolate. And rightfully so.
Yeah. It needed to be.
There's a difference between European chocolate and American chocolate. American chocolate is very, very overly sweet, and regular like chocolate in Europe doesn't have that overpotency sugar flavor to it. It's a great balance of like cocoa and like everything else, and you get the so it took me a second when I started drinking. I'm like, this doesn't hit me when it's like overly sweet. I don't understand. Like, and I'm like, oh, this is really good. Like, I'm like, this is wonderful. I was like, okay, Ben, you nailed it on that one. So
I will take, like, I'm not one for taking credit for a lot of things, but I
credit
absolutely will take credit for that.
Chocolate
And
flavor is your credit. For
the
sure.
and in the oats, the uncooked oats, like, it nails it every single time. I'm like, I'm just gonna say I'm
Why are you getting into uncooked oats? Why are we bringing uncooked oats into this?
You started getting into the conversation about American chocolate and European chocolate, so we'll draw the line. But no, the oats, like, I'm gonna say I'm proud of us for what we did in terms of supplements, and I'm excited to see what comes next with it. We'll not get into it because that will probably be many episodes of what's coming next and what the future plans are. So we launched a supplements company. I built a gym.
Launched a supplements company, not lost a supplements company. It's how they
launched. We launched it. We did not lose it. I built a gym, which is where I'm at right now, which was a cool project.
Yeah, dude, your gym looks friggin' amazing. Like, absolutely amazing.
I'm excited. Well, the cool thing, I guess, and the sort of reason of the timeline was we hosted the Belfast event here about 3 weeks ago, and it was cool. It was interesting because it was the first time we'd been in an Airbnb for a second time. So obviously we hosted an event in Belfast last year. We hosted it in the same Airbnb. So at the start I was like, it's a bit weird being here, but bringing everybody here and sort of seeing everybody in the gym, getting the feedback and just have everybody in the one space. It was a cool moment for me to sort of see what we've been able to build as a community, but also like everybody felt that they were a part of this, and obviously they are. So it was cool to host that here. It was a cool event as always. We did the on Friday, I think it was about 7 people entered the Rogue £1,000 club, anywhere from 500 up to £1,000, 1250, and it was cool to be able to host that here, and everybody put their submissions in, all for a free t-shirt. It was an absolute shit show trying to navigate it, but we got there in the end. And Matt was over with his camera guy Chaz, and he's just like 22-year-old kid, just like he's just built different. He was like, I'm going to enter this just for the fun of it. Like, I've never seen a person lift weights like this. He was like, right, it's not my turn yet. I'm going to go to KFC. So he went to KFC, got like 3 snack wraps, came back, and then he did like, I think his total was 1276 for squat, deadlift, and bench, like 200 kilos, 440 pound squat, like no bother at all, like right down ass to grass, absolutely insane. So it was a cool event. It's cool to be here. This is obviously the first podcast that I've recorded in the media room. A bit of work to do in terms of the lighting, but Dill's coming to sort that out with me on Wednesday. But yeah, we're back.
Dude, it's great, and a lot more to come. You know what we're looking at for as far as the formats of this is that we're gonna not necessarily do a full hour. We're gonna probably keep it more of like a 30 to 45 minute type thing. Maybe less chatter in the beginning about how we're doing, and more so
anytime,
about
what we're gonna make a rule from this point on. If you mention Orange Theory more than 1 time per episode, I'm gonna take 1 arm exercise out of your program.
Okay. Yeah, so
because we can derail like one time.
Okay. That's the rule. Okay.
That's the rule. Because we can derail 15 minutes of the podcast just talking about Orange Theory.
Right now.
Yeah, I know.
Arms already. I did arms and Orange Theory today, so it was,
That's twice you've mentioned.
The rule. You started the rule now, so just
okay.
Today, so
fair, because I know that we can both derail, so I'm going to take a little bit more credit for like actually just trying to navigate what the fuck we're talking about and having a little bit of a plan. But as you said before you come on, you've been banking some topics.
I literally, so when I find new topics that I enjoy and I kind of go down a rabbit hole in, I've started building out a list of things that I want to talk through, because some of the things that we've stated before in the past, let's just say a year and a half, 2 years ago, have changed from a scientific research perspective, or just different perspectives of things that I've learned as I've grown in this as well. And I'm sure you have too. So, our whole goal with this podcast is, hey, what's the latest research out there to maximize your health journey? What are the things that you can do to stay motivated? What are the things that you can do to get into this if you're just breaking into this? But also, how do you maximize your time in the gym? And there's 2 topics I wanted to cover today, which I think are going to be really cool. The first one is, I want to talk about my training block. Okay. Because Ben has approved me to lift 7 days a week.
After 4 years.
After 4 years. It has taken me 4 years and a lot of convincing. But the way that we're doing it this time, I think, is really creative. And it is based on research and science. And it is something that I've had a lot of success with and have really enjoyed. So when I first started getting into this lifting, whenever you get into a new hobby, it kind of consumes, at least for me, it consumes me, right? Like every aspect of my life goes into whatever that hobby is. So like right now it's my Cybertruck. And of course I had my whole Cybertruck completely torn apart, and I'm rewiring this whole friggin' thing for a bar. And funny story about this really quick, not to derail, but it's only supposed to be like a 10-minute project.
Completely derail.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a 10-minute project. I get all this stuff. I get the light bar and everything's going great. put it all together, perfect. Light bar works great. Go to shut the front trunk, and it doesn't. The sensor detects that it can't latch, and it opens up again. I'm like, what the hell? So I kept hitting it. I'm checking the leveling. I have like my measuring tapes out and everything, and everything's perfect. I'm like, what the hell? So I tear the whole thing apart again. I'm like, well, maybe the box that I had to do like a down converter from 42 to 12 volts. And I'm like, maybe that box is getting in the way. So I move it. I mount it at a different location. I'm checking the levels of before and after, making sure there's no gaps. Go to shut it again. Doesn't work again. And everything, I take this thing apart, it's a good 30, maybe like a 10, 15 minute job. So I'm sitting there and 5 hours later, on a Friday, I realized that I had bumped this plastic clip when I was rewiring. And that clip is what keeps the tension on the sensor to whether or not it's latching. There's like a little wire that gets bumped essentially. And I had bumped that clip, and it took me 5 hours of a 10-minute project to get this damn thing going. So that's how my life.
I will say the Cybertruck does look badass.
It is badass. Yeah, I got more plans for it. I have I'm getting a replica.
The conversation like completely.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm getting a full Halo outfit costume that's measured to me, built as the same as the TV show. Anyways, okay. So with the 7 days a week lift, the split is great because one, I get my cardiovascular hit training in with that one thing that shall not be named Monday and Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
But we split it up to where instead of me spending an hour and a half to 2 hours in the gym, I'm only spending 30 to 45 minutes in the gym, and I'm hitting very specific muscle groups that are stacked in a way that aren't, fatiguing my muscles in a substantial sense to where I can't rebuild faster or recover faster. So Mondays are arms, Tuesdays is push day, but I'm doing my shoulders on Monday, and Tuesday is more of a push day. So I'm really just focusing on chest. And then Wednesday, I'm doing pull. Thursday, I'm doing legs. Friday, I'm doing push again, and then Saturday I'm doing pull, and then Sunday legs. So it works out perfect, but I'm only spending 30 to 45 minutes in the gym. And what I really like what you did was the cluster sets, which was new to me. I had not done those. And what I like about those is you put the cluster sets as the things that I hate doing the most. So, but it's good. What's good about that is you knock them out quick.
Mm-hmm.
So for those that don't know cluster sets, it's 4 reps, okay, with 6 sets, but there's only 15-second pauses in between. So you literally do 4 reps, wait 15 seconds, do 4 more reps, wait 15 seconds, rinse and repeat for 6 sets. By the end of that 6th set, you're murdered. Like your legs are, especially on like hack squats, for example, like you have cluster sets on my hack squats and I'm murdered. And then I got to do leg extensions afterwards. I'm like, well, I'm already murdered. I don't understand this. Like,
it's funny because you're like, right, like, I think in this case, we both think that we've won because obviously before you were training for like 2 or 3 hours and that was obviously way too much. And you wanted to train 7 days a week. So I feel like I've won in terms of if we cut training down to like a normal person amount of training per session. You think you've won because we're training 7 days a week. Total time is probably the same across the week.
Same exact.
As I was programming, I was like, for me, it's cool because, as you said, 4 years in, I'm still able to do new things and like add new sets and like stuff that you've never done before, and it keeps it sort of fresh and exciting for you. Yeah. Cluster sets are potentially one of my favorite sets to do, and you can do them on pretty much anything, but those like big movements that really suck, there's not like a load of faffing about. You just get in, get it done. Essentially it's one set because you don't have to, like if you're doing hack squat, you don't really come off it. Like by the time you rack the machine, get your breath back together again, it's time to go again. So you don't even have time to think about it. So it's good that way.
Yeah. And I noticed it's funny because like I start off with squats at first, right? So I do like either barbell or not barbell. Yeah, barbell squats, back squats. Or I'll do the Smith machine back squats. And then I go to the cluster sets right after that. And so when I do the cluster sets, I'm not really at a sweating point yet. I'm not out of breath yet. I've done some heavy sets with my squats already, but my legs aren't fatigued. I'm still pretty good. And then I get into the cluster sets and I'm like dripping in sweat. My heart rate's at like 160. I'm like, oh my God. Like, and I'm like
it's only 2 minutes of my life. What has changed in the past 2 minutes? Yeah.
Or the same thing on the rower today. 1 minute, 13 seconds on the rower, I'm wrecked. Like my heart rate shot up to 90% in the red. And it's funny because when I'm starting to do the row, like I'm at the 250 meter mark. I'm like, oh, I got this. I'm still rowing. And I get to like the 175 and I'm dead. There's no, and like, I'm barely pulling. I'm like, what happened? What's going on here? I don't know. Like I have no energy left. And so now it's like slowly ticking down. I'm like, son of a bitch, but it's amazing how fast you can fatigue your muscles and still get, such an amazing workout in such a short time frame, but you're not, completely destroying your muscles in the sense to where it needs, 2 or 3 or 4 days to recover, from that, which is what I was doing. When I was working out for 2.5 hours, doing legs, I would be wrecked for 3 days afterwards. My legs would be wrecked for 3 days after. I remember going to Orange to that one place almost.
It's gonna be hard for you.
It'd be hard for me. It'd be really hard for me. But I'd start running and my legs would be completely fatigued already, so I wouldn't be able to do stuff. And I'm not noticing a difference there. My back feels better. I've noticed substantial muscle strength increases, by the way. So my bicep curls have gone up, my squats have gone up, my deadlifts have gone up, just by specifically switching my blocks up a little bit differently than what I was doing. So really beneficial for me, and less time in the gym than I have to deal with. And I actually enjoy it because once I get done with my second set, I really have like two more exercises left, like that's it. And I'm basically like, oh, I'm already basically done. I feel great. And I got a good workout on, good pump, good sweat. I don't know if you saw my, my quads, you
I absolutely did see, I did see your quads. I probably spent a little bit too long going like, what? I was like, as you're checking photos, like zooming in, being like, what the fuck has happened? Like, so yes, I did definitely notice.
My calves different story, but my quads, my quads look great. But so that was the one topic. So I thought that the trade block was great. The second one,
the lesson before we get into it, I think the lesson for everybody is you don't need to spend hours and hours in the gym. You can do a session that's 30 to 45 minutes. And this is, I guess, something that me personally has had to evolve over time, because when I used
hard for me to think about.
Yeah, but whenever I used to work in, I realize I'm in a gym now, but whenever I used to coach 1-to-1 and I used to work in Gymco, my sessions, because I had time during the day, it was like 2 hours and I was already there. And I thought that's the way that you had to train. So for me to sort of get my head around it, you can do it in a shorter space of time. I find it more beneficial because there's not that like, fuck, right, I have to try and, shift things around to fit this 2-hour block in. It's like, well, I've got 45 minutes, I can get in and get it done. So I think that's the biggest lesson. And you can still work hard in a shorter amount of time and get the same, if not better results longer term.
And here's the thing, like, you don't have to, like, what I've realized about lifting is, when I do my first set, let's just say it's bicep curls and make it easy. Okay. I pick weights that I can still hit the 8 to 12 rep range, but at that 12th one, even on my first set, I'm trying to fatigue my muscles to where I can barely lift them up again. Right. And I continue to still build up on that. So now let's just say I get to 12. My next set, I might go up like 3 or 4 pounds or 5 pounds. And, I'm trying, and maybe I only get 10 that one, but I'm still going as hard as I can to put that muscle under stress. I'm using every single set that I have to lift heavy. And that's what you want to think about is lifting heavy, keeping, so the sweet spot that they say for beginners is around 10 to 12 sets a week. Is optimal for what we call newbie gains. Okay. So if you can hit 10 to 12, so that's hitting either 2 muscle groups twice a week or once a week if you can. And what I do like is if you do 4 sets of the same exercise. So let's just say you do 4 sets of bicep curls, 4 sets of hammer curls, and then 4 sets of like, seated, bicep curls or something like that, or, easy bar curls or something like that. You do 4, 4, 4, you're done for the week, right? You've hit that 12 mark. But if you split them twice in a week, you do biceps, let's just say twice a week, which by the way is much more stimulant to your muscles. So you're hitting those muscle signals twice a week. You're going to have much more growth if you split those in half. So instead of doing 12, let's just say you do 6 and 6, you're going to stimulate those muscles twice as much in that week, even though you did the same amount of sets. So splitting them is a great idea. So that's why full body workouts work really well. Because you can hit that muscle stimulus, sending those signals to those muscles to rebuild and rebuild stronger throughout the week. And that's why, when we're talking 30 to 45-minute workouts, you're sending that signal multiple times throughout the week so that you're maximizing the most amount of muscle growth and you're not completely destroying the muscles. Now, again, lifting heavy. So if I'm doing less sets, I'm actually lifting heavy, and it actually increases my total volume of that entire week as well. So you have more volume. You might have the same sets, but you're hitting those muscle stimulant signals to your muscles multiple times that week, maximizing muscle growth. So so that's good for newbie gains. So 10 sets a week, newbie gains. For experts, people that have been doing this for multiple times, anywhere between like the 16 to 20 rep range or set range is where you kind of want to be at from a expert perspective. And so, doing 10 and 10 throughout that week is perfect. So, just doing, 3, 3, and 4, you have the ability to kind of hit that as much as possible, or 3, 3, and 3, and you're getting the 18 mark. So you do, 3 sets, 3 different muscle groups. So total of 9, you're hitting 18, sets that entire week. You do it twice a week. You're hitting that top echelon of hitting that stimulus as you're going through. So the way that you split your time up throughout the week is great. And so if you can do, push, pull legs, rest, push, pull legs, perfect. Like that's a great, split throughout the week. That's going to maximize your muscle growth and what you want to actually accomplish. And what we're seeing from a lot of the data studies out now, there's a lot of stuff out that came out from Jeff Nippard, as well as Dr. Lane Norton that references a lot of the new data studies that are out there. What we're seeing is that the more intensity you can put into workout, the more you're going to maximize your growth. Okay, so the stronger you get, the more muscle you build, right? We've talked a little bit about the fast twitch fibers and the slow twitch fibers, the differences between the muscles explosive versus endurance. Your endurance ones being more volume and size, explosive being more of that strength aspect and not necessarily the size of the muscle. But what's interesting, this parlays into the second topic I was going to talk about, is everybody talks about the biggest thing for all of these influencers lately online has been the stretch position. So the data has shown if you're in a stretch position, so let's just say I'm doing chest flies, and instead, if you're looking on the stream, if you're not, my arms are neutral basically, and I come in this way, I'm not in a stretch position. So my chest is not stretched out to where the muscle's fully extended and elongated. And so the early studies showed if you're in a stretch position, you have the ability to build more muscle when that muscle is actually stretched. So what's interesting is Nipper just did a new data study that showed for newbies that's the case, and there's a certain type of muscle that basically grows a little bit at the beginning, but it doesn't for advanced users. So what they did is they took advanced trainers and they did 2 different groups. Okay, one group was in a fully stretched position, and one group only did half reps. So half reps being, let's just say I'm just coming from this position where I'm not in a neutral position, I'm just coming inward, just like this, and that's all I did. And what they found is that basically the gains were the same. So stretch position had little to no impact on the gains themselves. Half reps were just as superior as the stretch position for muscle building based on the data studies of advanced lifters. So what that means is that it's all time under tension. That's all this means. As long as you're sending the signal to your muscles, it doesn't matter if you're doing half reps, stretch reps, doing it at a certain position where you're doing some crazy ass thing underneath. If you look at the bodybuilders of the 90s and 200s, they're just slapping weight around. They don't care about stretch positions. They don't care about whatever. They're just slapping weight around, right? As long as you're getting that time under tension, you're sending the signals to muscle, you will build muscle. So, form is important, making sure you're doing things the appropriate way. But even if you're doing, half reps because your range of motion's jacked up in your shoulders, you're still going to build the same amount of muscle as somebody that's doing it from a stretch position. So that was one thing that I was kind of like mind blown, because everything I was trying to do now was from a stretch position, because all the influencers were like, hey, you got to do a stretch position. I'm like, okay, well, I'm in a stretch position because everybody says it's good. Doesn't make a difference.
Well, I'll say this.
Intensity.
I'll say this though, and this is off the back of a conversation that actually, so to go backwards a little bit, I was at Matt's event 2 weeks ago, and I was presenting to the group of coaches that were there, and one of the sort of topics that I wanted to talk around, and I had a discussion with Matt, it's not looking at what the people are doing right now. It's looking at what they did to get to the position. So there's potentially people who look at me and you and be like, okay, well, I want to do what Ben and Dave are doing so that I'll look like them. It's like, but we haven't always trained the way that we do to get to this point, and we've had to adapt. Yeah. We've adapted because our ability to train, our ability to contract the muscle, like our intuition with our body has changed over time. So it's like looking at the things that the people have done to get to that point and not looking at what they've done now. And I think that's an important perspective for people to go in. So understanding where you're at in the journey, like if you're new, you have to do things slightly differently. And as you advance, you need to sort of adapt it based on your capabilities.
Well, look at my progression. Just let's just take deadlifts and my bench press. Okay. My deadlifts, I had a weak lower back. And so anytime I would do deadlifts, my back would be completely wrecked and I wouldn't be able to walk for like a week. Mm-hmm. So we introduced wagon wheels or block pulls. to where I'm more in a neutral spine position because I'm so tall that I'd just be lifting from essentially an elevated state from the deadlifts, right? But as my back got stronger, I switched to sumo, and sumo allowed me to still keep more of a neutral spine, but my spine was my lower back was strong enough to handle that. And then over time, I moved to traditional deadlifts, which is very intensive on your lower back. And I've been able to pull 600 pound deadlifts without impacting my back. So it's taken me a lot of time to get to that point. Same thing for my bench press. Anytime I would do a barbell bench press or a Smith machine bench press, I'd always mess up my right shoulder. Like right in here was always a major issue. And just in the past, I would say 8 months, that's gone away because I've been able to build so much muscle tissue around that area that I no longer get that pain in my right shoulder anymore, no matter what I'm doing. Shoulder presses, bench presses, doesn't matter. I have not injured my right shoulder in over 8 months. And when I say injured, like, there was a time where I couldn't bench at all. Like I'd injured it really bad to where I'd take, literally a month off of doing bench presses and did other things. But I'd always have this nagging problem with my shoulder. I'd always be like, rotating it and trying to figure out what's going on and, using the Theragun and, heating it and everything. And it's taken me 4 years to get to the points where I have enough muscle there. And I've built enough fiber around that area to where I don't have that problem anymore. And I just did a, 345 pound bench press on the Smith machine. Now, Smith machine, very different than barbell. I'm not gonna be able to do 345 on a barbell yet. I'd probably get to 315, 305. And so it's just, comfort levels of hitting that heavy weight still is a thing for me. So I still do barbell benches quite a bit. I do it once a week, but I don't go as heavy on that because I'm still trying to learn to make sure I don't jack up my shoulder again. But, again, my training sessions used to be when I would do, let's just say push, I'd be in the gym for an hour and a half. My push sessions, again, 30, 40 minutes. And it's changed based on how I've learned my body, how my muscles contract and work. So, what I'd say for people that are starting off is do what's most comfortable for you, but get used to the feeling of what that muscle's like contracting. And then from there, just go heavy enough, like I say, anywhere between like the 6 to 12 rep range, 6 to 15 rep range is great. You should be really struggling towards the end of those last sets to where it's very difficult for you to lift those up. I mean, you should be shaking as you're going up to those last few to really get that muscle signaling going, to break down that muscle. So it's telling your body, hey, I need to get stronger in these areas because I'm not able to do this. And that's what's happening in our bodies. Our bodies reactive in the sense where, when we're coming up, if it's easy, yeah, we're sending sub signals, maybe some endurance signals and things like that, but we're not really triggering the full capabilities of our bodies to say, hey, I need to produce more muscle because what I'm doing is fatiguing so much that I can't lift what my task is. Your muscles don't know that you're lifting weights, in the gym for fun. It thinks that you're doing some sort of task to survive because that's how we've evolved. Hey, I'm trying to kill a bear right now, or I'm trying to, pick up wood so I can build a shed so I can survive so I don't die. The same thing with muscles. If you're struggling to come up, it's saying, hey, I'm not strong enough. If I don't do this, I won't survive. I need to build more muscle to get stronger so that I can survive in the future. And so you have to get those signals working the same way. So if your intensity isn't there, and I'm not saying you need to be like, crawling up the steps, to where your muscles are shaking. There's one guy at the gym that they had to like carry him on a stretcher. I'm like, it's not like, we're not talking like that, but it should be enough to where, let's just say you're doing shoulders, you get done and you're like, man, I can't lift my arms above my head, because it's just they're so tired from the work that I just did. And that will maximize the most amount of muscle growth. And you can do that in very low sets, and again, in that 9 to 10 rep range, or set range, you're going to do an amazing job at building muscle that way.
Agree.
So that's the cool studies that have been come out. I have so many more topics to talk about.
That's okay. We're back week by week. Yeah. We're back to normal cadence. We were going to release podcasts every week. Appreciate everybody for giving us a chance to take some time off to work out what the fuck we're doing with the podcast and the supplements company and all the other shit that's going on. For anybody who isn't aware, we are doing a discount on the supplements for Cybersecurity Awareness Month. I thought I was quite clever. Maybe I wasn't with my discount code. So the discount code is password 1234 for 13% off for all of October.
Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
No, just 1234. Password 1234 for all of October for anybody just at hackingyourhealth.com. And like I said, we'll be back at normal cadence with the podcast with hopefully a little bit more structure. Let's talk about that thing that Dave's not allowed to talk about. And we'll go through the list of topics that Dave has set up for the next couple of weeks.
Sounds good. And appreciate everybody's patience on this. This has been an amazing journey. I mean, we were on a roll there. I mean, it was like 2 years of just every single week. Nonstop.
It was more. It must have been more because we did 150 episodes. That's 3 years.
Yeah. We first of all, we never missed one. Like there was time where we never missed one. So we were always on track with that. So I appreciate everybody that we're getting back into that cadence again of regular podcasts, a little bit shorter, more so focused on things that you can do to keep yourself motivated, things you can do to maximize muscle growth, and things you can do to keep your cardiovascular health going. I do want to say from a supplements perspective, the miracle supplement that I have added to my stack based on the data research now is magnesium. And there's a lot of different forms of magnesium. Regardless of what type of magnesium you're taking, just take magnesium. And magnesium has shown if you take 50%, if you take magnesium, it reduces your risk of cancer by 50%. It reduces your risk of cardiovascular and early death by 50%. And it helps protect against Alzheimer's by 50%.
So take the magnesium?
That's insane, right? 50% less cancer, 50% less cardiovascular risk, 50% less of Alzheimer's. Like my 3 top fears in life, right? Like you hit them. Like Alzheimer's probably the top one out there. Cancer's probably up there too. But having high magnesium levels in your body helps promote energy, helps promote focus in your brain. It's like amazing brain food. It's one of those things where I take at night, helps with sleep. So I take magnesium at night. And one of those things like along with omega-3 fatty acids, which also omega-3 helps with, it's a 47% reduction in Alzheimer's risk with omega-3 fatty acids, DHA specifically on that one. And then EPA obviously for everything else. And then vitamin D, like those 3 staple supplements, the biggest things out there. So we'll get a lot more into that, a lot more things you can do to help, maximize your life, maximize your goals, maximize your brain, maximize your productivity, as we go along with this podcast. So appreciate it. We're back fresh to go. And I got a lot more to shoot at you here in the next few weeks.
And as always, check us out across all socials at WeHackHealth. Share with your friends, #WeHackHealth. And we'll see you next week.
HackingHealth.com.
And HackingHealth.com. See you next week.
Here, buddy.